Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video, and welcome to the Smart #1. You join me at the open space here at the IAA show in Munich. It's crazy, there are people everywhere, but this is really my first time seeing the new rebranded Smart, if you will. For those of you who don't know, I actually own and drive a electric smart car in the US, a little Smart 453 Cabrio, and here we have the new generation. I can't say it's small anymore, but I still think we can agree it's smart. There's a lot to tell you about this car, really spicy features, and the cool thing is this is the sister car to the Volvo EX30. Underneath, a lot of the technical stuff very similar. We'll talk about the design. We'll actually interview the main designer of this car, who works for Mercedes, because of course Mercedes is smart and they partnered with Geely to make this car. So all the design is done by Mercedes. We'll talk some technical details, batteries, pack specs, charging, motors, power output, big power output, and we are just loving it here in Munich. It's been crazy this week. So here we go, a full tour of the Smart #1. This is the Smart #1 Brabus line. There are actually 4 different versions that you can get the car in. There is a base car that's rear-wheel drive, 200 kilowatt motor, output, same roughly 66 kilowatt hour gross battery pack, 60 usable, plus or minus. The details were a little bit hazy talking to some of the folks here, but I think that's roughly how it'll come out to be. And then you can option from that sort of pure plus or whatever they call it, the base one. It goes up to an all-wheel drive version of that. And then there's also a luxury rear-wheel drive, and then the Brabus, which is the top. So they have basically 2 rear-wheel drives, one that has sort of a base interior, one that's upgraded, and then 2 all-wheel drives, one that has quite a bit of content and one that's sporty here with the Brabus. So the regular all-wheel drive and the Brabus are the exact same dual motor drivetrain. However, the Brabus is software tuned all the way up. Now I asked them, is this getting pulled off the line and being sent to Brabus for all the upgrades like traditional Brabus cars have done in the past? The answer is no, but a lot of the tuning, very small few design elements have been upgraded for the Brabus line, and those were all done by Brabus. So be interesting to drive this car dynamically, because I hear it really rips. Over 400 horsepower in this little, very compact, I don't want to call it an SUV because it's not, but this compact car. So that is very interesting. The car itself is built on the SEA platform. Again, similar car to the EX30 underneath, so sizing should be very similar to that. And also, I believe the Polestar 4 is going to be built on SEA. It's an interesting architecture, and interesting to see how Mercedes and Geely have worked together to make this into this car. I talked to some of the folks here about it, and it sounds like Mercedes really took on the role of branding and design. This was actually the first SEA product. This launches on this platform. This is the launch car for this platform. And, you know, it sounds like Geely really worked on the battery pack, the motors, and a lot of the technical details. Inside, the interior is done by Mercedes, of course, and Smart. When I say Smart, I mean the Mercedes team. And the user experience, or I should say the software, is all Smart as well, but it is sharing some Mercedes tech in there. And we'll talk about that as we go. I haven't shown you guys the back of the car, so let's swing back here so I can show you the back end. By the way, the door handles typically are automatic and the proximity based, but since the car is in sort of a presentation mode, they don't auto present as you go up. It's got a super large back seat. I'll show you this here in a moment. Of course, if you look up, there's a massive glass roof as well, which the shade appears to be closed at the moment, but we can take a look at that. The back of this thing looks super cool. And again, I interviewed Matea, who is one of the lead designers here, so he will tell us all about it in just a few minutes. But look at the size of this. A smart car with this much room and huge underfloor storage as well. Alyssa, can you call it a Smart anymore?
No.
It's sort of a new take on the brand. You need to rethink this. It's a little bit like when Mini rebranded, especially when they launched the Countryman and things like that, which was, should they be allowed to make it? My answer is yes. It sounds like sales have been really great. It's already on sale in Europe at the moment, and people are out there driving and checking it out. Let's go look at the interior if we can. There seems to be a few people jumping in it. Again, lots of interest here. We'll start in the back seat since it's open. So here I am jumping in the back seat now. You can see that the back seat actually slides pretty far forwards, pretty far back as well. Great headroom in here. Look at this. in a Smart. This is amazing. Now the car itself feels pretty open. I've also had the chance to play around with EX30 quite a bit, so I'm trying to think of what the differences might be in terms of sizing, and it almost feels like this has more room, at least initially. It's been a little while since I was in that EX30 and I'd only had like 20 minutes with it, so it's hard to say. We have a center console here that I can have cup holders, air vents, very Mercedes style with the ambient lighting within the vent. Also ambient lighting here on the doors. The materials feel fairly plasticky, fairly Mercedes, a little creaky. Hear all this? That's a very Mercedes sound right there. All these little creaks and things. It drives me nuts. I really hope they start to work on these and fix some of this stuff. We have a little oh shit handle up here, if you will. And then again, this huge glass roof that has the shade closed at the moment. So this is really an interesting, nice interior. Red seat belts in the Brabus version. This one's just had the back seat down, but I can show you on this one. Red seat belt there. Yeah, Alyssa, your thoughts?
I think it's cute, but it just makes me miss my little smart car, which is there's one right.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, certainly we missed the old Smart. It's sad they're not making that anymore. I think production stopped or is stopping very soon. And again, China built product here. I believe it's all Geely stuff. So let's pop out again. I just want to tell you some technical details about charging performance and things like this. One thing that's really cool, again, it's not adapted for the US market. It's not coming there. Charge ports in the back side here, back driver's side. And of course CCS2, but 22 kilowatt AC charging as standard. That's pretty amazing. You almost never see that in this category. And then DC port is back here as well. Also, when you get the single motor version, 200 kilowatt rear wheel drive, the primary axle is rear. When you upgrade to the all wheel drive, especially the Brabus, you get an additional 115 kilowatts on the front. So 315 kilowatt power output, about 400 horsepower. Thing really goes in the Brabus version. It should be cool. I've seen photos of these like drifting and doing stupid things. So, you know, EX30 is going to be really fast in the performance version. This should be as well. I mentioned the battery pack is, what did I say? It was 66 kilowatt hour gross, about 60 kilowatt hour usable. And it should DC fast charge at a peak of 150 kilowatts. I think EX30, they say 153 kilowatts. So I'm sure it's the same charging performance. I bet they have the same charging performance car to car. I'm fairly certain it's the same battery pack. In terms of range, I'm unsure of it. In the EPA cycle, in WLTP, it changes based off of all the models. The Brabus has the least range, of course. But yeah, we can always, it's always hard to gauge usable range based off WLTP since no one is able to achieve this one. There's someone just sitting in the front seat here, but I'm going to try and sneak in and open the little front trunk. So excuse me one moment. Sorry, it's okay if I just do this right here. I apologize. Sorry. Let's pop on over this way, Alyssa, and I can show you. It's a double pull, so that means that the latch is already up there. So just a sea of plastic under here. Interesting, you have all your headlight adjustments, which I think is actually a regulation requirement. But look at this, the world's smallest front trunk now goes to the Smart #1. How about that? Enough for a Neo purse. Okay, so you know, you keep your Type 2 cable in there, maybe not even. It's a very small space. It's better than nothing. Keep some cables up there, keep some things up there, and you're good to go. That's totally fine. You'll also notice the double latches on this particular one, just like Polestar, again, all of these things. But I can already tell you, based off of watching people use this car today, you're going to find one latch that's not quite connected, a gap on one side and closed on the other. If you drive around enough and look at XC40s or Polestar 2s, you'll notice there's always a hood that's cocked up a little bit, and unfortunately, that'll be the case for this one. To close the hood, my understanding is you should put both hands near the latches and like slam pretty hard. Don't push it down because, again, aluminum, you don't want to bend it, but just a little thunk and then it will latch in and close. You don't want to do the thing where you set it and then press it down. They said that's not what it's designed for, but very interesting. They also went with a clamshell hood on this, and we'll talk to Matea, the designer, about why they chose to do that, especially for a car in this design. It was really to make sure those shut lines were perfect and the car had all of this perfect design, if you will, where everything's totally inset. He'll do a better job of explaining it than I can. One thing I will say, though, is if they really cared about shut lines, don't do the double latch thing. But of course, there's technical limitations of SEA, this platform, so that's what they did. Okay, it's getting a little crazy around here. We're gonna wait for the interior to open up. Before we do that, let's go actually back to our interview with the lead designer on this project. We're also gonna talk about the hashtag 3 in that video a little bit. We'll go inside, explore the interior in the front, and then that'll be our video. Well, now you join me with Mattia. How's it going?
Fine, thanks, Carl. And you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for taking
Welcome
the
to
time.
Munich.
This is great. Now, your official job title is Senior Designer of Mercedes and Smart.
Exactly, yes.
So this is your baby.
It's our team's baby. Like, I had the pleasure to work on this one, but it's a big team, obviously. We have a global network of designers in the US, in Europe, and China, and this is basically our baby, yes. I had the honor to work on this one, yeah.
Amazing. Well, first of all, it looks super cool. It's definitely
Thanks.
a new direction for Smart, if you will.
Definitely, yeah.
I don't think you messed it up. So nice work,
That's
because
already
we
very
love
good.
the previous generation, of course. Can you just walk us through front to back a little bit about what's going on here? Obviously, it's built on a shared platform with EX30 and some future Polestar models, Zeekr, of course.
Exactly.
And Mercedes is really taking on the role of design for this model. You, of course, your team, and then maybe Geely's doing some of the technical components. So
Definitely.
what constraints did you have? What freedoms did you have? And what were you able to do?
Well, we actually had a lot of freedom, to be honest. We were the first ones to use this platform. So we had the freedom to really play the Smart theme quite a lot. If we maybe move to the side, I will show you what I mean.
Yeah.
Smart is, the typical thing with Smart is we try to have a wheelbase as long as possible to create maximum space in the interior, push the wheels out bumps, and have very short overhangs on front and rear. This helps, as I said, with interior space, but it also looks amazing, right? It's like, we use it as an excuse. We always talk about like emotional and rational, sensual and producty. It's like this dualism, function and aesthetics that we bring together. So with this package, as I said, a lot of freedom. We did everything we wanted to do to make it a real Smart, and the collaboration helped us quite a lot.
Fascinating. And I'm noticing just some details up here, sort of a clamshell hood design,
Yeah.
which is super unique of this segment.
It is,
I think
yeah.
maybe only the Mini Countryman is one of the only ones that has this as well.
Yeah.
Was this a design choice or a structural choice, or why did you go with this?
It's mainly a design choice, but it helps also with the structure. So our design language is all about seamlessness and purity, and emotion, of course. So what we did here, we created a design that is seamless everywhere. You see, all the graphics are integrated, and this clamshell hood also helps us to have as little shot line as possible, to have something very clean and focus also on the muscles that we create on the body. So it is definitely a design choice, and also helps with structural.
Amazing. And now I'm noticing I have to ask you about the nostrils up here.
Yes.
So you were mentioning this is just on the Brabus version.
Definitely,
And
yeah.
they're not functional. What is the thought process, and is there an aero impact to these? You know, why would you do this? What is it adding, I guess, is my
You're not
question.
the first one to ask me this question. But I would say it has a function, and the function is to distinguish this car from the other ranges. So the Brabus is very sporty. You see it also in the other details that we have,
Yes.
but it doesn't scream extremely. It's still very smart.
Yes.
And this is like a main feature that helps to distinguish it, of course, on the styling side from the other models that don't have them. It doesn't have any aero impact at all, any negative aero impact. So we worked on them to have exactly the same aero values as the other versions.
Amazing.
So it's definitely just about distinguishing this line from the other cars.
Fascinating. Now let's just run down the side of the car really quick as we can. We talked about the short overhangs. You have this really high belt line.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
What made you do this? And this is just a constant curvature.
It is.
No sharp lines down the side. You know, I'm not a designer, I'm a tech guy. So I really need you to explain to me why you would take this approach.
You actually got it perfectly. So I'm
Okay.
happy that it's so visible. So as I said, like purity and sensuality is one of our main aims with Smart. So we're working with those poles: love, pure, unexpected. And this is really like the love and the pure part. You see it, as you said, on this section. We aimed to have a lot of clean body. You see no hard lines, no sharp edges, a lot of clean body, and to really show this full volume here. and show just how sexy the car is, how emotional it is.
Right, you have this sort of double bend in here, but without any sharp creases. It's
Exactly.
really nice.
We just have like one crease that runs around all the car. You will see it on the front. It
Okay,
runs
yeah.
around here and
Yeah.
goes around the back.
Right here. Yeah,
And this is really just to define the cladding, to have a split between the cladding and give this light catcher a lot of,
Yep.
exactly, yeah.
very cool.
And this light catcher catches a lot of light to give it really the stance that the car has.
Now, the charge port location, was this a design choice or is this a technical choice of the platform, or how did it end up here in the driver's side tail?
It is a technical choice. In the end, the implementation, the integration is our task as well, but it is a technical choice.
Okay, cool. I was thinking, hey, wouldn't it be cool to do something like this? But it's also quite high up here, so maybe
high.
not the best choice.
Definitely, it's high, and we don't have the space inside there because we have other technical components and safety components.
Yeah.
So this is it's a good idea actually. We always try to do this kind of.
Yeah,
so
sure.
You would be a good smart man, I guess, smart designer.
Well, yep.
You
thanks.
drive one.
I do drive a Smart.
So yes, this is it's a good idea, but it wouldn't be possible in
Right,
that
you have
area.
airbag there, structural component in the C pillar.
Exactly, yeah.
Coming back here, I'm sure people are so happy you kept the rear wiper.
Definitely.
Maybe the designer's worst nightmare, but it's very useful. So thank you for keeping that on there.
For sure, it wasn't on the sketches, I will tell you, but I know it has to be there. So yeah.
We've seen some of these new hatchbacks launch without them, and it's just a disaster.
Yeah.
It's really not great. Noticing an integrated spoiler back here, you have some air management coming
Yes.
on here as well.
Yeah.
This is cool. I love how unaggressive it is, but just continues back.
Yes.
Is this for CFD or what's going on back here?
It's again function, so aerodynamics, but also aesthetics. So we have, in this case, you won't see it a lot, but normally we also have a contrast roof.
Okay.
It's a halo roof, we call. So you have this styling element that on the Brabus is even further extended. So you really create this dynamic and very fluent shape. And as I said, it also has aero features. This is only on the Brabus. We have a shorter lid on the other versions.
Okay.
But it's really stylistic and functional. Yeah.
Great.
integration, yeah.
I know we're just coming around to the back side here. Is there anything you wanted to share about the back end of the vehicle or any other components before we wrap up the design?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, it explains both the back and the front, because at Smart we aim to mimic the front end and the rear end. So you see the graphics that we have with this full width tail lamp.
Yeah.
That we also have as a headlamp at the front, but on the rear end we have this light show we call the fireworks. So those sparkling LEDs that create a very cool effect at night, and it really gives it this typical Smart, unexpected view of things, of recreating objects that we need for function, but giving it a little bit of more drama.
Yeah, looks great. Loving the little red details along the bottom.
Thanks.
All the details, are they color matched or are they always red? So if you get a black one, you'll have the red accents.
On the Brabus, they're always red because we want to accentuate the stance. So
Yep.
you will see it's, as every feature, it's going all around the car, and it's sort of pulling the car out at the lower parts. So you see it's very sexy actually on the side.
Yes.
How this element is coming out, and
Yes.
to accentuate it, to highlight it, we have the red stripe.
Yeah, this is really cool. Something quite sporty for sure. Just quickly, let's do a preview of
Yeah.
the hashtag 3,
Of course.
because this will be an upcoming video on our channel at some point, but I really want to see your take on this. Let's pause for 1 second. Now they're going by. We're good. Life of YouTube, we keep going. Hashtag 3 is a similar wheelbase, 3 centimeters longer, I
Yes.
think, but way more sporty looking, very curvature, almost this one bow design that we've
Yes.
seen in the EQS and EQE, which has not done so well in America. But I think this one actually looks kind of cool because the front end is a little bit nicer. Tell me about this car. I know nothing about the hashtag 3, so what is there to know?
Well, Kai, the good thing is we can talk about the hashtag 1, and in a few words, I can tell you what the differences are.
Great.
So basically, hashtag 3 is the brother, the second addition to our lineup with the same design language, central product here. But in this case, we aim to even further intensify those poles, pure, love, and unexpected. So it's just more emotional, as you said, longer wheelbase, even flatter, wider, and longer car, even more space in the trunk.
Oh, wow.
So we aimed to accentuate even more what Smart is in a new format, but it's still the brother to the hashtag 1, so we have a very strong family feeling with both cars.
It's almost like the CLA shooting brake almost vibe in the back here. So a little something going on here. It's very interesting how the slope really just continues
Yeah.
all the way right to the edge of the car. It's very neat looking.
Thanks. So the aim with this one, actually, with this one bow, as you called it, we didn't call it like this, but for us, it's rather like a fastback design.
Yeah.
So we aimed to show a roof variation of the halo roof, which is very upright on a #1. This is the flying roof. It looks like just like a veil moving on top of the car. So it's like a very elegant and very sporty element that adds onto the very muscular body side.
Yeah, it's got a good stance on the road for sure, which is awesome. These wheels are epic. They're so cool. They're almost like a monoblock, you know, AMG wheel interpreted for smart, if you will. It's really cool. Let's just show everyone the front of the car really quick as well. Loving the smart logo down here, tying in this clamshell with that panel right there, looking awesome. Front is very similar.
Yeah, you will see like it's slimmer headlamps. The signature light is slightly different to still give it the recognizable family face.
Yeah.
But it's just like a slight adaptation. We like to play in the details. And the A-shaped grille on the lower part is just a little faster, and everything is more muscular and just a little bit more highlighted compared to #1.
And my last question for you is, if someone's looking to buy an electric smart, you know, with this generation, how will they choose between the 3 and the 2? What is the type of person going for both?
So I personally will tell you, and I talk to a lot of people these days, and I think if you want the more versatile and like the more, let's say, how could you say, like complete and like the Transformers or sort of car, it might be the #1.
The one thing that can do it all.
Yeah, the one thing that can do it all, and it's still very sexy, very practical. You have like the rear seats that you can slide front and back. And if you want a statement, like to really show the unexpected and sensual part of smart, and still practical though, you will go for this one. Yes.
So maybe better for the urban environment and better for the country environment, perhaps.
Yeah.
Great.
Or for everything, actually.
Yeah,
because also urban environment, I think, will go quite well with #1.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for all the information. Appreciate that. And let's get back to the main video. Well, you now join me inside the Smart #1. It's actually sitting at 23% state of charge, and there's quite a bit going on here. We've opened up the shade so you can get a sense of this big glass roof now. It's just absolutely epic up there. And again, you really have to put this in the context of EX30. And one thing I haven't told you up to this point is the price. And there's good reason for why I haven't told you the price, because it's quite expensive. It's 42,000 euro starting. And then it goes up from there to about 49,000 for the one we're sitting in, the Brabus fully loaded. Now the standard car still comes with all the driver assistance, LED headlights, not matrix LED headlights, but LED headlights, and a few other things, which is okay. But I still think $43,000 is a lot of money, considering the EX30 is planning to start at 35,000 US dollars, which would be even less in euros. And that's going to be, you know, a Volvo. That's a known brand that, you know, Smart's a known brand, but it's always been this sort of small car brand. So I think they really should have worked on the value proposition here a little bit better. But there's some great things off the bat to tell you. This steering wheel is amazing. It's thin, it's quite firm to the touch. This one has some sort of Alcantara around the outside, which is okay. You know, that's in the German mind quite sporty for people. But overall, there's some great buttons over here, good tactical switches and everything. You have your auto parking, you have your driver assistance on the left, then you have all of your media on the right. You have the same shifter as like a Mercedes, but it's all actually kind of plastic here. So you push this little button in at the end. I wish this bit would be aluminum to match the air vents. I think this is something you touch every day, and having this being plastic, well, maybe that's not the best. Windshield wipers, also same thing, same adjustments on the side. Rear wiper, it's all quite plasticky, but at least everything's quite firm to touch. So, okay, maybe some good, some bad. Visually, this Beats audio system looks nice. These two front tweeters here. I'm trying to find where the other speakers are. I know EX30 doesn't have any speakers in the door. I think this might actually be the same case. Two in the door in the back. I know the front has quite a large area over here with, you know, for drinks and things. So maybe similar sound systems. EX30 has this sound bar concept. This does not have that. So that's pretty fascinating. Head-up display is from like the mid-spec and up. So that's cool. And yeah, so just like sitting in here, great seating position. It's the left side's a little bit close to me actually. So there's not much elbow room, if I'm honest. I think if the window was up, I would feel slightly claustrophobic here. Actually, I think I can raise the window. Yeah, it just seems like I need another 2 inches in width back here to really get my elbow out. Window down is good. Do the rear windows go all the way down though? They do not. So that is the lowest the rear window will go, which unfortunately just isn't quite enough. Let's raise the windows here, make sure no one's around, just maybe for noise. We can't hear anyone on the outside.
No, it's peaceful.
It's very peaceful. Okay, it's always crazy when we're not able to film the cars in studios or anything like that. But here we are, nav system, a little laggy. You see this just slight lag here, going and coming up and in, moving it around. It's a little bit, yeah, a little bit slow to respond. Okay, and so here we have some charging stations that it's showing us. Let's see if we can do a route planning. So let's, how do we,
Stop touching.
okay, stop touching.
Touch the screen.
Touch the screen.
Now, at the bottom, you see the
Yeah.
little door. No, one finger.
This one? This cancels. Ah, okay. It's all in German. Is there a way I can lock it? I've locked the car. Now no one can get in. Okay, great. Why? We don't want people getting in. Okay, now we want to go to Hamburg. That's been the go-to destination to test route planning from here. So Hamburg, boom, go. Wow, look at this. 10-minute stop. Oh no, wait, that just tells you how extra time those routes will take. I hit start. And now it's speaking to me in German. This will show me the route, and it did no route planning. But you said it did, Alyssa, right? Let me click this little... No?
Or maybe I thought that the time thing.
The time was the charging?
Yeah.
Yeah, no route planning.
Really?
Yeah.
Check, pull that, just pull it down.
Like this?
No.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
this?
Yeah, that. There, just,
Yeah. Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, no route planning.
Or maybe that.
I asked the smart guys about it, and they said it's really terrible route planning. So that's just that. We have a little settings button over here. So we have auto hold, lane assistant, downhill speed assist, ESC off. Okay, great. There's one pedal driving as well. That's awesome. There's recuperation, standard and strong. So that's awesome. Different driving modes as well. Let's take a look. Eco, comfort, sport, Brabus. The sport and Brabus make a different noise when you go into it. It goes zoo, zoo. Very interesting. We have our climate menus here. By the way, if you get the premium interior versions, so that would be the nice rear-wheel drive or the Brabus, you get a heat pump. If you get the low all-wheel drive, which is actually a software derated Brabus, or the standard car, no heat pump, only resistive heater. So you have, basically fans here. There's also a deodorizing function. So if you fart, it will lower the window slightly and blast the air. Let's try it. So here's fart mode. You can see the little dog in the seat farts and it blasts the air and it's dropped the windows if you take a look. So this is really kind of funny, I think. So there we go, is this. You have your hazard light there in the center, nothing abnormal. And then we can just shut the climate back off because this car is already at 23% state of charge and yeah, gonna burn juice. So we'll turn that off for them. Yeah, this center display here is really nice as well, but I think the graphics look a little bit bad, if I'm honest. I think the light signatures are quite, yeah, quite old school looking. The display doesn't look that awesome, and I can definitely tell, like, see the pixels in there. So yeah, the air vents look great though. This all looks good. We have center console storage with 2 USB ports here. You have also USB ports in the back. Cup holders, 12-volt wireless phone charger, all here, looking good, feeling good. Center armrest also is chilled, so you have a HVAC into the center armrest and just a deep storage area. So that's the inside of the Smart for you. I love the steering wheel, truly one of the best steering wheels. This is great. It must be really fun to drive around, so I can't wait to have a go with that. But just a quick tour of the Smart #1. Honestly, I would get the Brabus one just for the power improvements. The power and handling, they say this thing is really spicy. I can't wait to have a go. So a very quick look at the first time we're able to see Smart's new direction. If you guys are interested, maybe we'll test the #3 when we're able to. But there you go, another out-of-spec video here at IAA, the Smart #1. I gotta say, I'm really digging it. This is how you open and close the shade right up there. Also have a sunglasses holder right here. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in another one soon. Bye-bye.